Hello guys, it's YLLiBzify here, and today's video I have another tutorial for you guys. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make an animated outro for your YouTube videos. So we're going to make this using Photoshop, After Effects and Cinema 4D, and they're going to be similar to the examples that we're playing in the background now. If you don't have Cinema 4D, don't worry, as we're only going to be using it to sort of make the little spinning logo at the top here. So it's not that big of a deal if you don't have it. And as you can see from the examples here, we have some things sort of fly in. You have your videos fly in, and these can be playing videos as well. They don't have to just be boxes like this, and I'll show you how to sort of use them and edit them. And then we have sort of your social media and stuff pulsating, so you are sort of more tempted to click on it. And then we've got one here that I made for iTanked where everything sort of pops in, and you'll see these sort of stuff pop up and down, and the social media comes in like that. You've got your logo spin at the top, and you've got your subscribe and thanks for watching and all that sort of stuff. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoy this, and let's get into the tutorial. So once you've got Photoshop open, you just want to go to File, New, make it 1920 by 1080, resolution 72, and OK. So first of all, I'm just going to start off by creating a background. So I'm going to create this, I'm just going to actually have this black, and then OK. And I'm going to rename this, so it's quite important to name all of your layers, so later on when you're in After Effects and you've imported your PSD, that you can actually see what layers are what, and it will name them exactly the same as what they were named in Photoshop. So make sure with this layer you name it, so you've got background, and you start naming the rest of the layers as you make them. So the first thing I want to make is probably the video boxes. So you can either follow what I'm doing now and make two boxes, one for previous video and one for random video, or one for recommended and random and things like that, or you can just have the one big in the middle to say something like previous video. So I'm going to actually make these, and I'm going to make it 1280 by 720, and the reason I'm doing that is because that's the same aspect ratio as what most people are going to make their videos in. So once you put your videos in this and you have a playing video in the image box, it will look perfectly fine and won't be squashed up or anything like that. So I'm just going to click OK, and I'm going to change the fill to white so I can actually see it. And as you can see here, I've got my selection tool, and I just have show transform controls here, and I'm just going to drag this over. And actually before I do that, I'm going to select my background layer here. Make sure you've got view, extras and rulers on, so you've got your rulers here, so you can make a little center a bit here. So I'm going to create rulers in the center, so I know where the center of my layer is, or composition is. And then I'm going to go back to my rectangle here, which is going to be my video box, and I'm going to create a duplicate by holding Control and J, or you can right click and duplicate layer. And I'm just going to select both of those by holding Control on my keyboard and clicking, and that way you can select both. And once I've got both of them selected, I just want to make these smaller. So you can do this by having, like I said, having the show transform controls here, so you can just straight away transform it and make it whatever size you want. Or you can go to Edit, Free Transform, which will let you transform it once again. Or you can go to Edit, Transform, Scale. So when you do this and when you do transform it, hold Shift down on your keyboard to keep the aspect ratio the same, so it doesn't sort of end up that sort of size or a weird square box. You want it to be the same aspect ratio, which is why we made it 1280 by 720 in the first place. So I'm going to make it around that sort of size, but you can make it sort of as big or small as you really like. This is only going to be a rough design when it comes to the actual design of this. I'm mainly going to show you how to animate it and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm going to center both of these up. So I'm going to highlight, like I said, I've just moved one of them over to one side and highlight both of them holding Control, and then you'll see here I can just move them to the middle using my arrow keys. And like I said, I'm going to have to rename these, so I'm going to name these Cam 1 and Cam 2. This is quite important because, like I said, you won't be able to know what's what later on, and it'll be quite confusing. And then all I want to do is leave them as they are, and then start adding some text. So in the examples I had, we had a logo sort of spinning here, we had some text here saying sort of like thanks for watching, and then we had some other text like view my social media, and then obviously the social media. So I'm going to start off by adding a template for where the logo would be. So I'm going to use I'm just going to use any old font. So I'm going to use Arial Bold because you guys should have that anyway. And then I'm going to create YN for your name. So I'm just going to create the two letters, make that white, make this quite big. So something like 72, maybe even 120. So quite big on that one. And then I'm going to decrease the kerning on this because mine's quite high at the moment to 200. and I'm going to center this up right at the top here, maybe a little bit higher. And I'm going to duplicate this layer by holding Control and J on my keyboard to duplicate. I'm going to put it underneath that one as well, just so it's a little bit more organized. And then I'm going to highlight this text, and I'm going to keep caps lock enabled, as I think this font looks better with caps lock, and put thanks for watching. And I'm going to highlight all the text holding Control and A, and make this back to quite a small font size, so 48, something like that. And I've spelled everything right. That's one thing I tend to do wrong, is spell things wrong. And then create this 500 or 600, and then center this back up. Oh, and then center this back up here. And I'm actually going to duplicate that again and put a layer above and create this for your name. So obviously you guys would want to do this your name. So instead of YN and the text, your name, actually put what your name is. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller than the thanks for watching, because I don't want my name to be that prominent. I want the thanks for watching to be more prominent than my name and my logo. And I'm going to create this a little bit higher to my logo. So like I said, you guys, you'd want to put your logo here, or the first letters of each word in your name, and then your name here compared to actually me putting your name, and then have the thanks for watching or something like similar to that. And after that, I'd want to have my social media and stuff like that down here, so I know what my social media handles and all of that sort of stuff are, and what social media I use. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to put I'm just literally going to put social media. Actually, no, I'm going to put stay connected. Stay connected. And then I'm going to center this up. Just use my arrow keys. And then this is where I'm going to add my social media, just here. So I'm going to put /YLLiBzify, because I know that's what all of my social media handles are. And I'm just going to center this up again, put a little bit lower to there. Make this a little bit smaller, so we'd probably want something like 24. And then I'm going to duplicate this, drag it down, and put my website. So if you guys have a website, this is a good thing to do as well, or sponsors. You may want to put the sponsors at the bottom here. So I'm just going to put my website, and I'm going to increase the kerning to probably around 2000, and OK. And then center this up. Actually, I'm going to make my social media handles here a little bit bigger again, so I'm going to make these around 30. Yep, 30 will do. And center it up again. So the next thing I want to do is add some social media. So I've actually got a social media pack here, which I'll leave the link in the description below for this for this exact pack. It was from Artificial Creations, which is a friend of mine, a great designer, and this pack comes in really handy because they're all quite small, and it's the sort of sizes you're generally going to need them for, so you don't have to search around for this sort of stuff. So I know I've got a Twitter, I've got a YouTube, so I'm going to hold Control on my keyboard and click on YouTube as well, and I've got a Facebook, and they are the main things that I use really, is YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. So I've got all of these three logos, and I just want to drag these over here and drop them into this this Photoshop file here. And then all I want to do is edit these, because at the moment they've got quite a big drop shadow on, which I don't actually want. So I'm just going to right click, clear layer style, and then I want to create all of these to the same sort of size and edit them a little bit, because personally I don't like having the white box in the middle, and with the Facebook logo I don't like having the outline of the like the box around the blue box. I like just having the F. So I'm going to go to my Facebook first, and I'm going to hold my selection tool thing here, and I'm going to do magic wand tool, click on the F, and then go to select, inverse, and delete, and that will delete everything around the F that's already selected. And then with the YouTube logo, I don't like having the little box in the middle or the little triangle, so I'm just going to select that and then delete. Oh, it's got a little bit there still. Let me zoom in a little bit. We'll get rid of that and delete. And then we want to make these all roughly the same size before we do anything else. So for me, I'd probably keep them around the same sort of size as the YouTube logo. So I'm just going to put them above each other like so. And the one thing that will probably be a bit smaller is the Facebook. So I'm going to just make this the same sort of size. It doesn't need to be, you know, 100% exact, but you know, if you guys are making this properly, you'd probably want to make it sort of everything quite the same sizes and all uniform with the same sort of spacing between this. But where I'm doing it as a tutorial, I'm not going to spend quite so long on it. So once I've got all 3 of these selected, I just want to get my ruler and put a ruler in the middle, and then make sure that my / YLLiBzify is centered up with it, like so. And then I'm just going to remove this again because we don't actually need it now. And then all I want to do is create a layer style with these and to make them white, like so. And then once I've done that, you can right click, copy layer style, and then highlight all of them holding shift. So if you click on Facebook, hold shift and go down to your Twitter logo, and then right click and paste layer style, and then close these back up so they're all white. And I'm going to zoom back out, so I'm just going to zoom back out like so, and then make sure I've still got all 3 of them selected, and then my YLLiBzify text selected, and then just center these up. So I want them around there. And like I said, you could also add sponsors and things. So if you didn't have a website, you could put like check out my sponsors and put their sponsored logos here. But unfortunately I don't have any sponsors, and I only want my social media and my website and stuff here. And then one thing I think I'm going to add as well is some arrows here pointing up to my videos, which I think would look quite nice, and I can have them animated popping up and down and things like that. So I'm just going to create a little box here, holding shift on the keyboard as I create it. Make sure the fill is once again white, and I'm just going to drag this down, make sure I've got this selected, and just rotate it, or you can go to edit, transform, rotate, and I'm going to rotate this and select 45. And then once I've done that, I want to right click and rasterize. I will rename this to triangle so I know what it is, and then I just want to get my rectangular marquee tool, select about half of it and delete, so that way we've only got this. Make it a bit smaller, stretch it a little bit out actually, because I think I want around that sort of size. And then we can put this in the center of our video here, which if we go to our cams, we can see now, and add a ruler to make sure it's definitely in the center. So I'm going to go to cam 2 as well. I'm just going to close that and make sure that's in the center here. I'm going to go back to my triangle, and I'm just going to put that a little bit lower down here above my camera. That's centered up, and then I'm just going to create a copy of that holding Control and J and drag this across and make sure it's in the center again. And then I'm going to go to my cams. I'm actually going to make these a little bit of a different color, so I'm going to make these sort of a grey color. So I'm going to go to color, just leave that as the grey as it is because that's all I wanted anyway. And I'm going to add a stroke, and I'm going to create a white stroke so it's the same as my text, so it stands out a little bit. And then make that around 5, maybe even 3. Yep, 3, and OK. And then close this up again, and once again copy this, so go copy layer style and paste it onto my other box here. So that way you can sort of see it's a little bit more obvious, and you can see the little arrow a little bit more. And then one thing I am going to do as well is I'm going to create a layer style for the text. So I'm going to go to gradient, I'm just going to click gradient, I'm going to leave that as it is and change this to around 20, maybe 25%. And then create a drop shadow, and 0, 10, 10, and 50% opacity, and then add a little bit of inner glow. So inner glow, we want that 75% still. Change that to something like overlay or soft light. Overlay will probably look a little bit better, and then make this a bit smaller, so something like 5, and OK. And then you want to close this down again, and you want to right click, copy layer, and you want to paste this onto all of your text layers and logo layers and things like that. So with these, actually I've already got a layer on this because I added the color earlier, so I'm going to highlight all of them and rasterize that because at the moment we don't actually need that. And then paste layer style again, and I'm going to go down to the rest of my text and even my triangles, and I'm going to go to paste. And actually one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename these, so instead of cam 1 I'm going to put cam left and cam right, and triangle left and triangle, oh, I deleted the triangle, what am I doing? And triangle right. Like I said, the reason I'm doing this is once you import this into After Effects, it will keep the same layer style names as what you've used here. So if you don't have a layer style name and it's just a random old layer style, it won't know what it is. so it may be quite confusing, and that's about it really when it comes to this part. So as I said, I'm not doing much when it comes to the actual design, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to spice it up a little bit, and I'm going to add a background image here. So the first thing I'll probably want to do is just add a gaming image in the background. You may want to do some cool design or something like that, but I'm just going to do Call of Duty and OK, and then go to image, search tools, size exactly 1920 by 1080, as that's our the image size that we're using. And I'm going to use something like let's just say this one. It doesn't really matter as this is just for a tutorial purpose. And I'm going to copy image and paste that into my Photoshop file here, and I'll rename this gaming image and put it all the way to the bottom just above my background. And then I want to make this black and white, so I'm just going to hold Control and U on my keyboard and then put the saturation to -100, and then I want to create this to probably around 50% or something like that. And then I'm going to want to make a new layer, name this light, make sure you've got your white on, go to your brush tool and have a brush with 0 hardness and probably make it around 2000, zoom out a little bit and add a little bit of light up to the top here. And then I'm going to make another one as well, a little bit smaller, so you sort of go at the bottom here and around the side a little bit like that. I'm just doing it a little bit randomly so it's a little bit more interesting than just a plain old image. And I'm going to make this on screen and 50%. And then once I've done that, one thing I think would look quite nice as well is add on a little bit of colour to this, because at the moment it's just black and white. So I'm going to add a new layer as well, and I'm going to go to my fill tool. I'm going to change the colour to something like a blue, so quite a nice blue, and then just fill that, and then change that to 20% maybe, something like that, so it gives it a little bit of a blue tint. So I'm going to name this blue tint. And then one thing I think would look quite nice as well is maybe an outline or something like that around here. So I'm going to create a new layer again, and I'm going to make this name it outline, then go to my shape tool, change the fill to nothing, stroke white, or even blue actually, so maybe a blue, and then just click on there and type in 1920 by 1080 and OK, and then center this up like so. Actually, I think that might look better if it was white, so it stands out a little bit more. Oh. Like so. So I personally think that looks okay now. Like I said, it's nothing amazing, as I'm not going around doing a crazy design on it. I just want to show you mainly how to do the animation. So I'm just going to save this now, so Control S or File, Save. And I'm going to save this where I was already saving some of my stuff, so where this is being recorded. And I'm going to save it as Animated Outro Tutorial PSD and save, and then click OK. And I'm going to turn my caps lock off because I don't actually need that anymore. And then that's the first part of the tutorial sorted. The second part, I'm going to go into After Effects. So if you want to see the second part, there'll be a link in the description below, and there'll be an annotation on the screen now. So thanks for watching this part, and I hope to see you in the next part.